Happy holidays, everyone. Sarah Klein from Whole Health Lab. Thanks for watching. So I wanted to share with you three of my favorite health tips that I do at this busy time of year that tends to involve a little more indulgence than the regular, as well as some of my favorite cooking substitutes that I make pretty much almost all the time in my kitchen, but especially during this time of year when we have a lot of these traditional family recipes, there's some really simple switches that you can make, which will allow you to feel much better during this time of year. All right, so my three health tips that I add in, and I'm very mindful that I add these in at this time of year, are number one, and they're super simple, is hot lemon water in the morning. Now, if you know me, you know that I am happy to indulge, especially during these special times of year. And I think that indulging and welcoming an indulgence is totally fine as long as we know how to keep it all in balance on a big scale. So I truly believe that how you start your morning tends to bleed into all of the decisions that you make later down the line. So if you add in some nice hot lemon water, or you can get extra fancy and shave a little fresh ginger in there, it number one helps to keep you hydrated right from the start. When we wake up in the morning, we tend to be really dehydrated. And if we have that nice glass of water first thing, that will help to increase the amount of water that we take in, which will dramatically decrease the amount of food that we eat and how we feel throughout the day. So simple. To further that, it really helps to start your digestive fire and helps the process of elimination. So if we can add in this small health tip, it will help impact the rest of our behaviors throughout the day. Number two is when I know that I will be indulging a little more than normal, I really like to focus on preparing my gut for that. So there's two ways. There's a lot within a gut health protocol, but there's two things that you really want to think of. One is healing and sealing the gut lining, and two, adding in the good gut bacteria. So how I make sure I heal and seal is, first of all, super simple, and this is focusing on adding in versus taking out, which is really nice during this time of year, is making sure I'm consuming 1 cup of bone broth daily. Now, that doesn't mean that you have to sit and drink the bone broth, although you could, and you could add that into your morning routine with your hot lemon water and really flush the system from the beginning. Or you could add it into your cooking. If you're cooking any whole grains, cook with bone broth instead of water, add it into some of your soup recipes, get creative. See where you can add in at least 1 serving of bone broth per day. This can really support the gut lining and prepare it for the indulgences of the holidays. And then number two, part B of that would be make sure that you're adding in good fermented foods. So that might be things like kombucha, naturally fermented sauerkraut, naturally fermented pickles. And when I say naturally fermented, that means that when you read the ingredient list, there is no vinegar in there. Now, this can be confusing because apple cider vinegar with mother is fermented, but pickles and sauerkraut that have vinegar in the ingredient list typically are not naturally fermented, so they don't have that good gut bacteria supporting benefits. So try for 1 serving of naturally fermented foods every single day. This will help to add in the good gut bugs into our microbiome, and therefore help us digest better, as well as help us to curb our sugar cravings, balance our blood sugar, et cetera, et cetera. So tip number 3 for my holiday health tips is to eat with gratitude. Now, this sounds kind of simple. I'm sure we've all heard it before, but there is tremendous research out there that shows that people who have a daily gratitude practice have better eating habits. So they're directly correlated. And we want to remember what this season is all about. It is so easy to get caught up in the busy to-do list and forget really what this season is about. So take time to take a couple deep breaths before you eat, check in with the meaning of the season, and integrate that into your eating habits, because it will really help and support the amount that you eat and what you eat. It's fascinating. So give yourself some time to really eat with the meaning of this season. And when we are in a state of gratitude, we cannot have our nervous system firing. So that means that we are in a parasympathetic nervous system state. And when we are in that state, we digest and absorb nutrients much better. So my very simple, very obtainable, very doable 3 health tips to integrate into this busy time of year is to, number 1, drink a glass of hot lemon water every morning. Number 2, support your gut through healing and sealing, adding in bone broth. And 2, adding in naturally fermented foods, 1 serving per day. And then number 3 is to eat with gratitude. Turn off your nervous system before you eat. Allow the digestive system to fire up and work, and remember the meaning of the season. All right, so some of my favorite simple shifts that can happen in the kitchen, in the secret, that will allow you to indulge and not feel as heavy during those indulgences. So we live in the world of information. There are tons and tons and tons of recipes out there which take out refined carbohydrates, or take out gluten, or take out sugar and dairy. And so there's so many simple and fun ways that you can take your traditional recipe and tweak it ever so slightly, so that when you eat, you don't feel as heavy and lethargic after the meal. So here are some of my favorites. Number 1, super simple, stevia, which is an herb, versus white sugar. And if you buy a packet of stevia at the grocery store, it's going to show you exactly how to sub out white amounts. So go ahead and try stevia versus sugar. And stevia is actually significantly sweeter than sugar, so you don't need as much, and you won't know the difference. Number 2, this is my absolute favorite one that I do all the time, is nut flours versus white flour. And you can also add into your nut flour flax meal, which has a lot of omega-3 fatty acids and is good to support inflammation in the body. So nut flours versus white flour. Number 3, coconut milk or coconut cream. You can buy them separate. Coconut cream is basically when you buy a can of coconut milk, the cream part at the top, versus heavy cream or milk. Nobody will know. And you'll feel so much better. It's so much easier on the digestive system, and you'll feel a lot lighter after the meal. Raw cacao versus chocolate chips. Raw cacao is actually a superfood. It's filled with antioxidants, so you can sub that out in your baking for chocolate chips, because chocolate chips usually have a lot of refined sugar in them. Some things to add in, and think about really spicing up your food so you don't have to use as much sugar or white flours, are nutmeg, cinnamon, vanilla. Applesauce can be another way that you can sweeten foods without using sugar. What else did I have so I don't forget here? And then another one, which you're going to have to play around a little bit in your kitchen with this, is when something calls for cheese, you can use nutritional yeast. And what I often do in my kitchen is either cut the amount of cheese in half, substitute in nutritional yeast, or in some recipes, I'll fully substitute the nutritional yeast for cheese. And nutritional yeast is full of B vitamins, and so it's a really good health food that you're adding in. So another health tip that I talk about with clients all the time is to think about adding in versus taking out. And this is a great time of year to focus on that. Making small switches can really support how you feel. So enjoy the holidays. indulge with gratitude and ditch the guilt, because this is the time of year to really celebrate the people that we love, to spend time with them, and practice a little indulgence. So post the holidays, we will be running our 30-day clean living challenge. So if you would like to start off the new year really focusing on your health practices, it's a movement, mindfulness, building a meditation practice, and whole foods based challenge. And it's a really, really fun with all the tools, support, and accountability that you need to succeed. So if you want to join that, there will be a link in this email, and I'll throw a link in the comments below. So thank you so much for watching. Sarah Klein, Whole Health Lab. Happy holidays. Enjoy.